Well, it's 9:50 on Sunday, October 8th, and I've shifted the core of Messier 31 to the lower right-hand corner to see if we can get any sense of the core extensions. They should be going off towards maybe the 9 and 10 o'clock position. I'm not getting a very good sense of it. I'm using the standard settings. I could boost it, and I probably will. Let's see if it makes any difference. One thing I'm noticing on boosting is we're getting all of these fuzzy apparitions all over the screen, and I noticed them last night, even at 128 flood. Can't be sure if it's real or if it's just some kind of defect in the CCD imager. But there's our look. Maximum settings at the extensions from the core of Messier 31, the great Andromeda galaxy. So from the core to about right here is probably some 25 arc minutes in extension. Just a little experiment to get us kicked off on our NGC 7600-7649 series for tonight. Here we go with the beginning of tonight's Sunday night, the 8th of October's NGC Deep Sky Quest with NGC 7600, a galaxy in Aquarius, magnitude 11.9, 3.1 by 1.6 arc minutes, oblately presented spiral of the lenticular class, 157 million light years distant, a galaxy which probably is larger than the Andromeda galaxy, maybe 160 to 170,000 light years in diameter. It's at minus 7 and 30.5 degrees. And what I will do tonight is I will also try to create some kind of a Declination Index error, so it's easier to figure out where on the screen various deep sky studies are based on their position in the sky in terms of declination, north and south. So I tried it out last night. It seemed to help quite a bit. So NGC 7600. NGC 7601 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 14, 1.1 by 0.9 arc minutes, spiral with a bar in lowercase bc is some 359,000 million light years distant, and that would put it a little bit larger in our own Milky Way galaxy. It's at plus 9 and 1/4 degrees. NGC 7602 is another galaxy in Pegasus. This one's further north at about almost 19 degrees. Its magnitude 14.3, half an arc minute by half an arc minute, spiral 484 million light years distant, and that puts it at about half the size of Messier 31, so it's about 75,000 light years in diameter. We are at right ascension 23 hours and 18 minutes, and I don't expect that to change too much over the course of the evening. NGC 7603 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.2, 1.6 by 1 arc minute, spiral with a bar and some peculiarities. 395 million light years distant means it's probably about 180 to 200,000 light years in diameter. It's at almost straight on the celestial equator, so 0 degrees. NGC 7604 is another galaxy in Pisces, further north though, about 7.5 degrees. Its Magnitude 14.5, 0.3 by 0.2, very small spot lenticular spiral, 173 million light years distant. There's our view, if we can pick it out on the screen tonight. I wasn't that impressed with NGC7600 at 12 magnitude, so I'm not sure if there isn't quite a bit of water vapor present in the sky. So the moon certainly is out of the picture. It's now, we've got maybe 6 more days until the annular eclipse of Saturday morning, early on the west coast, about 8 o'clock in the morning at that time. NGC7605 was about a click away from 7604. It's a galaxy in Pisces. That puts it also at about 7.5 degrees of declination. However, 7605 is also NGC 7583. So we caught that in the last night sky NGC series. Magnitude 13.7, 0.7 by 0.7 arc minutes, spiral 169 million light years distant. So it's probably a dwarfish galaxy of about 40 to 50,000 light years in diameter. NGC 7606 is a galaxy in Aquarius. It's down about minus 8.5 degrees. It's brightish, magnitude 10.8. This is one you may want to find through your eyepiece telescopes. 4.2 by 2.3 arc minutes, a spiral with a lowercase bc, 102 million light years distant, means it's probably somewhere around 130,000 light years in diameter. So there is our look, and it's quite apparent on the screen. And frankly, I think my latest series of alignments, which I did tonight, using 4 stars to the east, is holding up pretty well in terms of setting studies right near the very middle of the screen. Well, if NGC 7608, a galaxy in Pegasus, is near the middle of the screen, we are in good luck for this evening series. I cannot guarantee from night to night that the alignment will be good. I just happen to have 4 stars well over the eastern part of the sky, south, all the way up to Perseus, that I was able to align to. 7608 is plus 8.5 degrees. It's declination. Magnitude 14.2, 1.5 by 0.4 arc minutes. So a nice sort of tilted galaxy spiral with a lowercase bc, 159 million light years distant. Makes it about probably a little less than the Milky Way in size, maybe 80,000 light years. As I said, 8.5 degrees in declination. NGC 7609 is not far from 7608. It's a galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 14.1, rather football shaped at 1.3 by 1.1 arc minutes. Lenticular spiral, but this one's distant, 530 million light years. That puts it at probably someplace close to 180 to 190,000 light years across. It's at plus 9.5 degrees declination. You might want to look closely at NGC 7610. It's a galaxy in Pegasus, plus 10 degrees. Magnitude 13, largish, 2.5 by 1.9 arc minutes. And the cool thing about it, it's a spiral with a bar and a ring. So we can assume that ring is somewhere around magnitude 17. Let's see if there's any hints of it when we're looking at the screen. 160 million light years distant puts it probably about 120,000 light years in diameter. Once again, plus 10 degrees declination. NGC 7611 is a galaxy in Pisces, a little brighter, magnitude 12.5, oblate 1.5 by 0.7 arc minutes, spiral with a bar. It's a lenticular with a lowercase a, 148 million light years distant. It's probably about 80,000 light years across. It's at plus 8 degrees declination. I do believe most everything is ending up in the middle of the screen, but I'll need to verify that mañana. That streak you're seeing on the screen formed right on the screen. It's not the trail of a star. Probably looking at it being variegated in its brightness, Probably a meteor passage. NGC7612 is a galaxy in Pegasus. Brightish, magnitude 12.8. Oblate, 1.6 by 0.8 arc minutes. Spiral of the lenticular class, 145 million light years distant, probably about 80,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 8.5 degrees declination. But maybe I don't need to say that anymore because things are ending up pretty close to the middle of the screen tonight. Yahoo! NGC 7613, Galaxy in Pisces, will prove probably beyond the range of the scope and the conditions. It's also quite small. It's a magnitude 17.2 by 0.1 lenticular spiral, class O. It's right about on the celestial equator. So we're probably losing a magnitude anyway, just due to lower sky position. But yet somehow I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that we'll see this very faint small galaxy in Pisces. NGC 7615 is another one of those galaxies in Pegasus. Magnitude 14.3, oblate 0.9 by 0.4 arc minutes, spiral with a lowercase b, 167 million light years distant, puts it at about 60,000 light years across. It's at plus 8.5 degrees declination. I do believe I'm seeing it on the Handycam screen. NGC 7616, Galaxy in Pegasus, should be a better test of seeing conditions. It's higher, plus 10 degrees in declination, but it's magnitude 16, a little bit larger than that magnitude 17.3 by 0.2 arc minutes, simply designated as spiral, with no information about how far away it is. It'd be interesting if you could look up the redshift factor, because I've basically discovered that something with a redshift of, let's say, 0.05 is probably about 500 million light years away. Something with a redshift of about 1.1 is probably somewhere around maybe 1.3, 1.4 billion light years away. So if you can find out the shift value in terms of the absorption lines, it gives you some hints as to distance. Apparently that information was not entered in with several galaxies, including NGC 7616, plus 10 degrees declination. NGC 7617 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.8, 0.9 by 0.7 arc minutes, a spiral of the lenticular class O, 186 million light years distant, probably about 60,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 8 degrees. Now I'm thinking it's this right here. If that's the case, we are tending to get a little right ascension drift as we go through the hour. And that's why you need off-axis guiders often when you're doing deep sky imaging, to account for that drift that naturally occurs for some reason with equatorial mounts and their drives. Okay, I don't really expect to see much of NGC 7618. We're getting a serious amount of blockage. The scope is pointing almost straight up in the sky. This is a galaxy in Andromeda, magnitude 13, 1.2 by 1 arc minutes. It is an elliptical 239 million light years distant, puts it at about 70,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus almost 43 degrees, and if we see any of it, that will be quite a surprise. I am seeing stars on the screen, so who knows? Probably won't appear much brighter than a magnitude 16 galaxy, however, given the fact part of the objective lens is being blocked by the roof tribes. NGC 7619 is a galaxy in Pegasus, bright, magnitude 11.1, pretty much face on, 2.8 by 2.5 arc minutes. It's an elliptical, 170 million light years distant. Let's see, if we multiply that by 3, we get something like 410. Andromeda galaxy would be 480, would be 152. So this one's probably about 120,000 light years in diameter and is showing up quite well, very close to the center of the screen. NGC 7620 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 13.1. It's at plus 25 degrees. I don't think we're getting any obstruction. No, we're not. We got about 5 more degrees before that occurs. At this, 24 degrees declination. It's It's magnitude 13.1, 1.2 by 1.1 arc minutes, 428 million light years distance spiral. And this is probably just right there at 150,000 light years across, like Messier 31. We're now at 23 hours and 20 minutes. We have 40 more minutes of right ascension before we get to 0 hour. NGC 7621 is a galaxy in Pegasus. Where have we heard that before? Magnitude 15.6, smallish, 0.7 by 0.2, so it should be rather edgy on. It's a spiral 175 million light years distant. Rather dwarfish, maybe 40,000 light years across. It's at plus 8.5 degrees and declination, and we're, as I said, we've entered into the 23 hours and 20 minutes domain. And I do believe I'm seeing that galaxy right in the middle of the screen. Well, that galaxy I was seeing in the middle screen could have been this one because they're very close. NGC 7623 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 12.9, 1.3 by 0.9 arc minutes, a lenticular spiral, 168 million light years, distant, probably about 80,000 to 90,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 8.5 degrees declination. NGC 7624, another galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 13.1, so it should be pretty obvious on the screen. 1 by 0.7 arc minutes, rather football-shaped. Spiral with a bar, 196 million light years distant, puts it at about 60,000 light years across. It's at plus 27 and change degrees. NGC 7625, a little further north, plus 17 degrees. Galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 12.1, 1.6 by 1.6, face-on spiral, 72 million light years distant. That puts it at about 30 to 40,000 light years in diameter. As I said, it's about plus 17 degrees, but that may not turn out to be much of a factor this evening. Well, we've just turned the corner to NGC 7626, galaxy in Pegasus, quite bright, magnitude 11.1, 3 by 2.7 arc minutes. It's an elliptical of class 2, which means pretty close to roundish, and E0 would be a perfect sphere. 157 million light years distant. This is pretty large, about very close to 150,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 8 and change degrees. We've seen this galaxy before, NGC 7627, aka 7641. Galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 13.9. It's 1.7 by 0.5, so kind of a tilted edge-on spiral, with a lowercase a. 351 million light years distant puts it pretty close, maybe a little bit larger, maybe 160,000 light years in diameter than at Messier 31. It's at almost 12 degrees north declination. NGC 7628 is a galaxy in Pegasus, brightish, magnitude 12.7, 1.1 by 0.9 arc minutes, so it's an elliptical. It's not specifying, but it's probably an E4, E3 or E4. 192 million light years distant, plus 26 degrees, but we're not getting any blockage of the aperture because I started a little earlier than was necessary in order to catch things down low in perfect culmination at this time. So it's nice to be able to see these ones further north without getting too much aperture loss. NGC 7628. NGC 7629 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.8, 1 by 0.8 arc minutes, spiral class O, 407 million light years distant, puts it about 130,000, 125,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 1.5 degrees. I'm hoping that this is NGC 7630, galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 14.2, 1.1 by 0.4 arc minutes, spiral with peculiarities but very distant, 556 million light years, so it's probably about 180,000 light years across. It's at plus 11 and 23, and just to confirm, I'm going to press this button as go to, and we'll see if it jumps. No jump. All right. We're on to NGC 7631. NGC7631 Galaxy and Pegasus, magnitude 13.1, 1.7 by 0.7 arc minutes, so a suboblate, spiral with lowercase b, 170 million light years distant, probably puts it at about 80,000 light years across. It's at +8 and change degrees declination. NGC7634 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 12.6, 1.2 by 0.9 arc minutes. It's a spiral with a bar, lenticular class O, 145 million light years distant. It's at +9 degrees. I always like seeing, get a little more tuned in whenever I see any galaxy that's lower than magnitude 13.0 or above 16. I like searching for the very faint ones, and I appreciate the ones that are brighter because I want to see if they have any peculiarities to them, like NGC7634, which has a bar, even though it's almost face on. So look for that bar in this galaxy, and no, you can't order a gin and tonic. Swing low, sweet chariot. All right, this one, NGC7636, is a galaxy in Sculptor. Magnitude 13.7, 0.9 by 0.6 arc minutes. Spiral of the lenticular class O. It's at -29 and change degrees. I would hope to be able to see the galaxy. It's 370 million light years distant, and I can't tell whether anything is seen on the screen or not. I am not in a very good position. We'll have to look. Mañana. NGC7638 is much further north. It's a galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 11 and magnitude 15.6 by 0.6 spiral arc minutes, 354 million light years distant. We're at about 11 and change degrees north. This galaxy is probably in the range of 80,000 light years in diameter. Probably on the same field as NGC7638 is NGC7639. Galaxy in Pegasus, faintish though, magnitude 15.5, smallish, 0.5 by 0.4 arc minutes. It's at +11.5 degrees. It's a spiral of lenticular class O, 360 million light years distant, which puts it at probably somewhere around 60,000 light years in diameter. Well, we won't expect to see much of NGC 7640. It's well north, galaxy in Andromeda. However, it's brightish, so it could turn up. And boy, this deserves a good look. It's a magnitude 11.3, 10 by 1.9 arc minute spiral with a bar and lowercase bc. 291, it's only 29 million light years, distant, which means it's probably about the size of 80,000 light years in diameter or so. It's at almost 41 degrees declination, and if I'm sensible tomorrow, I'll come out a little earlier and capture this one, but no guarantees, but it's being blocked right now by the roof trike partially. NGC 7641 is at almost 12 degrees declination. It's a galaxy in Pegasus. It's also NGC 7627, so we captured this one earlier. Magnitude 13.9, 1.7 by 0.5 arc minutes, a suboblate, 351 million light years distant. Given that size, it's probably somewhere about 170,000 light years in diameter, larger than the Great Andromeda Galaxy. Once again, it's at +12 degrees. We are now at right ascension 23, 22, 30. NGC 7642 is a galaxy in Pisces, magnitude 13.7, 0.6 by 0.5 arc minutes, a 400 million light year distant galaxy, +1.5 degrees in declination. I'd say it's somewhere around 75 to 80,000 light years in diameter. NGC7643 is another galaxy in Pegasus. It's at plus almost 12 degrees. It's magnitude 13.2. Perfect obliquely presented 1.4 by 0.7 arc-minute spiral with some peculiarities. Those are always fun. You might want to go to the skylive.com on the web and plug in the values for NGC7643 to see what might be peculiar about it. 175 million light years distant, and that puts it at about 80,000 light years in diameter. It's at plus 12 degrees, and it's quite visible on the screen. NGC7644, aka NGC7651, so that'll be in the next series, hopefully tomorrow night, is a galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 15.7 by 0.5 arc-minutes, spiral of the lenticular class, and it's 562 million light years distant. I'd say it's probably about 140,000 light years in diameter. It's at declination almost 14 degrees. Well, we've swung low with our chariot again. NGC7645 is a galaxy in Sculptor. This one's a little fainter, I believe, than the last. Magnitude 13.1, 1.5 by 1.2 arc-minutes. Spiral with a bar, 307 million light years distant. Puts it pretty close to that of the Andromeda galaxy. Maybe slightly less, 140,000 light years. It's at minus 29.5 degrees in declination. NGC7646 is a galaxy in Aquarius. Magnitude 14.7. 0.9 by 0.6 arc-minutes, a spiral with a lowercase c, 313 million light years distant, means it's pretty much the size of our own Milky Way, maybe 90,000 light years in diameter. It's at minus almost 12 degrees. So if we're getting a good look there towards the center of the screen, I'd say alignment model worked out very nicely tonight. NGC7647 is a galaxy in Pegasus, magnitude 13.6, 1.4 by 1 arc-minute elliptical, 546 million light years distant. Given how bright it is and its size, this is a pretty luminous and mature elliptical galaxy. It's at plus 16, almost 17 degrees in declination. I'd say it's probably somewhere around 215,000 light years in diameter. NGC7648 is a galaxy, once again in Pegasus. Chock full of them, isn't it? Magnitude 13, 1.6 by 1 arc-minute, spiral of the lenticular class O. 162,000 million light years distant. Puts it at about the size, maybe smaller, maybe 80,000 light years in diameter, as opposed to 100,000 for our own galaxy. It's at plus almost 10 degrees. And we've only really progressed about 3 minutes in right ascension throughout this series, and we're about to wrap up. GC7649 is a galaxy in Pegasus. The last of the evening, magnitude 14, 1.3 by 1 arc-minute elliptical. It's 559 million light years distant, which places it probably at about 210,000 light years across, possibly. It's at plus 14.5 degrees. We are now at right ascension 23, 24, 20, and this concludes the NGC 7600-7649 series on this fine Sunday evening, the 8th of October. Let's see if there's something adventitious in the next series that we might want to have a preview of. Well, we can look forward to this galaxy next time out. It's NGC 7678. It's a galaxy in Pegasus. Magnitude 11.8, 2.5 by 1.7 arc-minutes. A spiral with a bar, 160 million light years distance at plus 22.5 degrees. And there it is, staring back at us between that triumvirate of 3 stars. Very nice. And carpe noctem.